Hello and welcome along to the Tennis Asia podcast. And on this show, we're going to take a look at a player we haven't actually mentioned on this show from a country that we actually haven't mentioned on this show before either. And joining us to take us through, Mr. Tennis Asia himself. Eddie, how are you? You've been enjoying Cincinnati, Montreal, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, been enjoying all that, but I thought it would be, a good idea to focus on this particular player, just because, as you said, we haven't had a chance to talk about her, but her achievements have been pretty special.
Indeed. Well, Indonesia is a country of something like 280 million people. It's not exactly known as a hotbed of tennis. I think something we actually said about the Philippines, of course, with the breakthrough of Alexiala a few months ago. But there has been a breakthrough player in recent months, certainly over the past year. A year ago, or just over a year ago, uh, unranked, I believe, now on the verge of the top 100. Who are we talking about?
Yeah, we are talking about none other than Janice Tjen from Indonesia, who, as you rightly said, was unranked as recently as June last year. So she's 23 now. So why was this the case? It's because she was attending university in the US, and she was competing with the US college team. Of course, it's an increasingly popular route for players these days before they go into the professional game. However, it is quite unusual for a player to, especially in this way, because we've seen recently sort of players make a sudden jump from the from the the US circuit, college circuit into pros. I mean, like on the men's side, you've seen Jacob Farnley. Obviously, I think he was outside the top 500, and then before
Mhm.
you know it, he was you know, suddenly winning challenges and getting into Wimbledon and all that now in the top 50 or made the top 50. And then, yeah, obviously we've had players come through. I know like in the past on the women's side, you've Danielle Collins, but I mean, obviously a lot of Americans would tend to do that, but it's becoming increasingly popular for players outside of the US as well to do it. And of course, yeah, Janice is from Indonesia, and she has, remarkably, because normally when players play on the U.S. college circuit, they'll split their time when they have time, in the holidays, they'll go and play some pro events,
Mm.
and I think she did do that at some point, and but by the time she actually went fully pro. I think the last pro event that she'd actually played was back in 2022. So last year she went pro in June and had no ranking, and seemingly just started beating everyone in her path. And you just
I mean, she
got
had
to
a pretty decent junior career before she went to university, but evidently there's something that happens that they then come out, or in her case, comes out as a fully formed, ready to go on the tour. Certainly in the brutally competitive ITS.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned her junior. I think she career high ranking in the junior, seemingly within the top 100, but not out of this world. And
Right.
um and yeah, so obviously it as I said, she started playing June last year, and then seemingly just started winning. She had to start from the qualification of ITF events, right?
Mm.
So just starting from the bottom, and then just took it from there. And yeah, I think the first event that she played on her return to pro tennis was in Monastir. Yeah, entered the qualies there, and yeah, just won every match, took the title. That's obviously the lowest rung of professional tennis, the 15K in
Mhm.
Monastir, but nonetheless beat everyone in straight sets, just hammered them, and then took the title, and then continued that. Because they
Did
play consecutive
did it three
events.
weeks in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 wins in a row. I think she dropped one set in the second event. I've just got the results up here. So, yeah,
Mm.
very good. And then eventually went to Europe. She did lose a few matches, but or one match there, but yeah, and ended up getting semis, and then another title. And then, yeah, of course, some losses did come, but then she won another 15K and, yeah, a bunch of 15Ks, and eventually rounded off the year at the end in December, winning a 35K. So, obviously she's showing that she's probably too good for this ITF level. Yeah, that 35K again didn't drop a set. So, yeah, I mean, it's certainly when you look at those kind of results, you're going to think maybe a lot more players who are unsure about making the jump as a youngster to being professional are maybe thinking, well, maybe it's not so bad if I can go to college and then come out seemingly completely ready to take on the pros. And yeah, this year it's sort of more or less, I mean, I guess it was a bit of a slower start. She qualified for 75K and then and lost in the first round. But then when she came back to Asia, semis in Osaka 35, runner-up in Goyang 35, and then eventually the title in Goyang in the following week, semis in Changwon, winner in Andong, and then seemingly winning just consecutive events, a 35K, a 15K, 35K, and then a 50K consecutively. I mean, these tournaments, impressive. Again, just like beating everyone without dropping a set. And then a 35K in Taipei. And then that got her, by June this year, within a year of her coming back to pro tennis, is into the top 200. Yeah, so that basically secured her spot in the US Open qualifying draw, which will be coming up very soon. So we can look forward to that. But then, went to the US. And, you might be thinking, well, okay, she's done that in Asia. Good to have that kind of form. But then, she's going to go...
Can she do it on a humid afternoon in Lexington? That's the question.
Well, exactly. But also, bigger events in the US and generally, you're going to have a better field at the events in the US. And obviously, especially with the US Open coming up. And yeah, she went to a 100 in Evansville first, got to the quarterfinals after beating, she beat Carol Zhao in the second round, but then lost to Katie McNally in the quarterfinals. But of course, that is not anything to be ashamed of. McNally is a player that's been up in the top 50. And then I think, she's quite young herself. She's, fell down, I think, maybe to injury and then is working her way back up. I think she went on to win that title. And then, she goes on to Lexington, which you mentioned, in Kentucky. Obviously it's going to be a hot summer there. And she still got to the final, finished runner-up to Wang Jiyu, who is obviously an experienced player herself, who's been up.
Been top 50.
Yeah, been up top 50. And so, she took her to 3 sets, followed that up with another runner-up spot in Landisville, another 100K title, K event. And, she beat Lanlana Tararudi in straight sets, a player we've mentioned many times in the quarterfinals. In straight sets, 6-1, 6-3. Lost out to Petra Marchenko in the final, but that was 6-7, 6-3, 4-6. So it was a tight match. So she's shown certainly that she can compete in these higher events. I mean, this is very, very good form. Petra Marchenko herself, by the way, is just 19 years of age and is already near the top 100. So she's a player with much potential and from Croatia.
Tell us a little bit about, obviously these wins have above 15 level, all these wins have come on hard courts. Tell us a little bit about her game.
She's played at obviously the US college circuit, which is very competitive. And, you can definitely tell that in terms of how comfortable she seems at being able to play big in the big moments and sort of having that sort of competitive spirit on the court. Yeah, she seems to be a good fighter. She moves well. She's a good athlete. She's quite strong. I mean, in terms of strokes, her forehand stands out. She's got a good forehand. She tends to hit the slice a lot on the backhand, but she seems to be very solid in doing that. I mean, she doesn't hit it too much in terms of like a full backhand, but Yeah, definitely very impressive in terms of her. I would say like her competitiveness and also just moves well, is a good athlete. So she's definitely got the qualities, I think, to move on. I mean, she's made the top 150 now, and apparently that's only the third player from Indonesia ever to do that. One
Oh
of the
wow.
players she's the best Indonesian player ever was Yayuk Basuki, who reached as high as number 19 in the WTA rankings back in 1997 and won
Mhm.
6 WTA titles.
That
So
is, that is a name I remember from my little Wimbledon annuals, filling in the results from each stage.
yeah,
Very
she
proud
reached
of
the
that.
quarterfinals of
Mm.
Wimbledon back in the 90s. Yeah, I think it was 1997. So yeah, I mean, it would be brilliant if she could even, get close to that kind of level. I mean, Basuki actually, I mean, according to the Wikipedia page, I mean, she recorded wins over Amelie Mauresmo, Mary Jo Fernandez, Lindsay Davenport, Gabriela Sabatini, legends of the game, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, certainly now we have a player that, for a first time in a long time, that's maybe able to get or have a reasonable chance of getting close to that level. I mean, certainly a top 100 doesn't seem far off now that she's already in the top 150. And, she's still gaining experience. She's still not that experienced as a professional player. So you'd only imagine that she's going to get better. And I think, honestly, looking at the way she plays, top 50 is probably, something that
Mhm.
I think is a reasonable expectation. Obviously, she needs to keep playing, and you never know what's going to happen. But
You say she's a good strength. Obviously, we ask all these players who are sort of around this level. What about her serve? How is her serve?
yeah, so I mean, she's not like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's obviously not the tallest player, but her serve
Mm.
is pretty solid. So, and in terms of, I mean, I think she's had good training and good coaching at her university, which was the Pepperdine University in California. I think it's just outside LA, where it's
Mhm.
based, and it's not a weakness at all. So yeah, she's an impressive competitor, and I think now actually, with I mentioned obviously it's just been over a year. I think she's now 91-9.
Oh,
91-9 overall since turning pro. I mean, obviously a lot of that was at the lower levels in the
that's
ITFs.
Federer level esque. But
Yeah, but yeah, as I say, it kind of shows that she's probably ready to sort of get into
yeah.
that top 100 at least, and sort of be in amongst the sort of the WTA tour, and showing what she can do. And this is exciting, as you said, like big country Indonesia, but they haven't maybe had many athletes have been able to compete in terms of like on the global stage like this for and certainly in tennis for a while. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's good to see that. I mean, obviously we've had also Alex Yalas, another Southeast Asian player on the rise from the Philippines, but also a couple of players coming through from Thailand. So it's an interesting time for players in the region, and yeah, I think perhaps Janice could be right at the forefront of that push.
I see we did miss a Tennis Asia Bowl 7 years ago in the ITF in Manila, one of the juniors, when Janice Tjen actually defeated Alex Ayala in 3 sets in the final to take the title on on Alex Ayala's home turf there. But yeah, definitely exciting times. Qualifying for the US Open coming up. When is the draw? Do you know?
I think the draw will be done on the weekend, or perhaps actually I need to check it. Possibly Friday, but I mean I think it will be starting on Monday. The qualies, and then
Okay.
it should be done within the week, and then on the weekdays. And yeah, I mean, given her form at the moment, I don't think many players are going to want to draw her right now. I mean, her ranking is at 148, which I not
Okay.
sure it's going to be high enough for a seeding, because usually
Mhm.
they have 128 players playing the qualifying, and I think they have 32 seeds. So yeah, it really depends on the withdrawals and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I mean, given her form, I think she'll have a good chance. Possibly, it'll depend a little bit on the luck of the draw. Obviously, when you get to that final third qualifying round, there's a lot of good players there, and they're all going to be, a lot of them were wanting to make the US Open for the first time, so it's going to be very competitive. But she's in America. It's probably somewhat comfortable being in that environment. Yeah, and then also, yeah, I mean, really, it would just be an incredible achievement, wouldn't it? I mean, just a year after, pretty much just over a year after going pro, and then qualifying for the US Open for the first time. I mean, what a story would be, doing it the
Right.
first attempt, and
And
perhaps
it's absolutely unheard of someone to come through qualifying and then go on to win the whole thing.
No.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it.
But yeah, I mean, it's actually, it's the funny thing about tennis is, like I mentioned before, obviously Jacob Fernley, like obviously he's from Scotland, and it's just a funny thing how in tennis you can kind of like go from zero to hero, and there's like numerous instances of this kind of thing happening, and who knows? I mean, that's what makes it exciting. And even if she, I suppose, even if she lost in that final round, there might be a slight chance of her making it in as a lucky loser. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the draw will be. But it's definitely an exciting time, and yeah, it'll just be nice if she can make it through. Even if she doesn't, I think it's going to be nice to be able to. It's not going to be too long before she's in the top 100 and competing in some of the more bigger events on the WTA tour, and then we'll be able to see more of her, because unfortunately the ITFs are not. We don't get to see much action of them at all. So yeah.
I mean, we didn't bother to go 20 miles down the road to Goyang to actually watch it in person back in May. So yeah, of course, one of the thing, tennis, as you say, you can go from zero to hero. Also, the thing about tennis is it's quite easy to end up back at zero as well, as has happened to a lot, but hopefully not this time. You're not going to the US Open this year? I think you went last year.
No, I will not be attending the US Open for various reasons, but hopefully we'll be able to cover it on our channel. And despite the horrendous time difference being in Asia and having to cover that, we will hopefully be able to cover, hopefully Janice Tjen's matches and some of the other Asian players. Certainly it could be an exciting time, yeah, for some of these rising Asian players on the women's side, especially. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that.
Definitely. Well, Janice Tjen, one of many to look out for in the US Open qualifying draw, and I'm sure we'll have a big rundown of the draw as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
For now, thank you very much.